Are the markets going up? Are the markets coming down? How far and fast could they be moving? What's the momentum inside the market, and what are the opportunities inside the crypto market? And of course, across the stock market as well, and commodities and Forex. All of these questions are answered by looking through the cheat sheet, which has a number of rows. Row 1 is essential, as is row 2. This identifies risk on and risk off behavior. Row 3 is all about the major market indices, and they're triangulated through row 4. And you can see row 5, row 6, and row 7 are the crypto market. The crypto market does a great job of measuring if risk on or risk off activity is coming to hit the main markets. As a lot of our community is crypto only, let's look at the crypto charts, and we can see Bitcoin currently is improving. It's cut across an area of resistance and it's showing some strength. It's currently trading at 91,937. When we look at total crypto market cap, we can see that Bitcoin and the alts are coming up together. We can see a little bit of a variation with Bitcoin Cash at the current time, and Litecoin has not demonstrated the kind of power that Bitcoin has. But Bitcoin Cash is looking quite good. When we look to Ethereum, we can see some divergences here. Bitcoin is coming up as Ethereum is coming down. And we're not surprised at all that Ethereum Classic is following Ethereum. That's why we look at Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin to look at what Bitcoin could be doing. It's important to keep our eye on what the exchanges are doing, and when we look at Binance Coin BNB, there's a bit of a lack of investor and trader interest in the crypto market just at the current time. I guess a lot of people are assuming that Bitcoin is going to fall and fall hard. But until the structure actually points to that, we must consider that everything is normalized. And Solana did a bit of a retracement in the past 24 hours, but it's starting to come back. And we'll look at the structural levels on Solana a little bit later. We're just looking at directional correlation, and what do we see with XRP? It's very much like what's happening with ETH at the current time. There's a bit of a flight to safety at the current time inside the crypto market. We're seeing more and more funds and interest go into Bitcoin first. But however, Doge is going for it. SHIB is also going for it. Pepe has not made payday, and Whiff is getting a whiff of something pretty nasty because it's going down. What about Floki? It's just losing a bit of interest, but it could turn around. And what do we see with Bonk? Yeah, not too good. And total crypto market cap, as we looked at before, is coming up. One of the really good things about looking at the memes such as Dogecoin and SHIB and Pepe and Whiff and Floki and Bonk is that they're typically a gateway for new people into crypto. It actually matters tremendously where we draw our support and resistance lines. If we just use recent indicative price, we may say that the resistance is through this particular just south of the 92,500 level. But that's just taking into consideration basically 24 hours. We need to look at price across all of this 5,200 plus days. And when we do that, what do we see? Well, we actually see that the absolute resistance is around that 92,900 mark. It's not even anywhere in there. That's actually a gap that we see inside the market at the current time. There is light structural support just around the 90,900 area and heavier structural support just north of the 90,500 area. Now, what could happen here is quite intriguing. If the bulls continue their run, and it looks quite good at the current time, they do have to get across the 92,900 level of structural resistance. If they can do so, there's a positive CTKS gap all the way up to 96,000. This could blow some socks off if we manage to get above 92,900. And remember yesterday, I was saying in the video, this is the key level that we want to watch, 88,800. It came down into the 88,800 level and bounced like a Super Bowl. But where was the ceiling on price action. It was simply at these levels. Even though it bounced, it came back to structural resistance levels, one support, and then turned into resistance. And then it flipped it, but it didn't have enough power to make it up to all of this structural overhead resistance. It tried a second time, no go. It was making a series of lower highs until it cut through literally just recently. So the bulls need to make a move above 92,900 to open up the 96,000. If the bears get control, it's not going to be easy to get below 9,500, and definitely not too easy to get below that 88,550. Please let me know in the comments, what do you think is going to happen? Are you favoring the bears or are you favoring the bulls at this current time? It's really important to read Bitcoin and total crypto cap structural levels together, and we can see that we're in a CTKS gap at the current time, which means if Bitcoin goes for it, we could move up to the $3.09 trillion area quite quickly, but that will slow the ascent of Bitcoin as well, so please be aware of that. When we're looking at trends, we can see a degree of weakness, but we've also seen a degree of strength at the current time. So it really depends on the structural levels of Bitcoin, on where the entire crypto market cap goes. We do have support just south of the $3 trillion mark and just down here in this area. So if you're looking at your charts and you overlay total, look for this particular area. That's the area of structural support within your chart. Understanding where structural support and resistance levels are is very important. A lot of people think that recent indicative price is just a structural level. Unfortunately, it's not. Structure needs to be brought out through analysis of all price history, not just a slice of it. Some people confuse the term, but please be aware. You need to do an absolute census on price, or else you can't get the statistically significant support and resistance levels. So when we look at Solana, what are we seeing here? Well, there's certainly a degree of strength, but we can see also that Solana is being suppressed around this area. Now, when we look structurally, why would that be the case? Because we're literally at a level of structure, and this is structural resistance and quite heavy. And Solana had tried to break through it previously, but the sell pressure was just so strong, it was pushed back to a lower structural support level. You'll notice there's a bit of a gap in that level. That's fantastic. That's called positive air. That means the buyers were very, very keen to push Solana's price upwards. And if we get above the 244 level, things could get really, really interesting because we have a positive CTKS cap here. A lot of people talk about fair value gaps. We actually can see all the gaps on the chart in real time, and we just simply look to the right. Please let me know what you think. Is Solana going to break out and make its way above 246 and beyond, especially up to the 260, which we could see in the next 24 hours if it manages to do so? And what would be the condition of that? How would Solana break out? Would it have anything to do with Bitcoin and total crypto market cap? I would really be interested in your comments. A lot of people think you just need to look at, say, Bitcoin and total to understand where Solana is going. Most people would think you only need to look at Solana's price chart to see where Solana is going. Hopefully I prove that that actually is not the case. Solana is dependent on Bitcoin structural levels, and Bitcoin and total move together. But Bitcoin is impacted by all of these row 1 and row 2. That means we have an influence here, down here, and down here. In order to know which way Bitcoin could be going, because that will seal the fate of the crypto market, we must look at row 1, row 2, row 3, 4, and we'll just bolt through the rest of the rows. But row 1 and row 2 are particularly important. We've seen recently, over the past couple of days, the VIX has been coming up, and this is the fear gauge of the main market. One thing to just bear in mind, typically what we see with fear going up, we see that crypto comes down. We're seeing something really interesting at the moment. We're seeing that VIX is going up and crypto is going up as well. It's almost like crypto is following the VIX. Actually, that's not the case. We've just had so much positive news with the SEC losing its teeth, taking out its teeth and putting it by the bedside table, and also having a crypto-friendly incoming president of the US is a game changer for crypto. So please bear these things in mind. That's why we're seeing this really, really bizarre price action. This is not normal, it's bizarre. And when we look at the DXY, we can see the DXY is starting to come down. The 10-year starting to come down. The 2-year starting to come down as well. This is all very, very positive. When the yields come down, typically what we see is an uptake in Bitcoin and crypto and also the stock market. And also we see when the DXY comes down, that's almost as if people are taking their money out from underneath the bed and throwing it into the stock market or the crypto market or some other market, but they're throwing it somewhere. In those terms, row 1 looks pretty good and row 2 is looking fantastic. Junk bonds is coming up. That is terrific. We can see more influence inside commodities, and influence inside commodities means the yields are coming down and potentially the dollar is also retracing. That's good for the crypto market. Also, we can see silver triangulating gold at the current time. The euro moves in opposition to the DXY, and the Aussie dollar tends to move with the euro. So when we look at the euro and the Aussie dollar, try to see through these two charts to see and look at the DXY. And something really good, copper is starting to come up. Copper coming up is a good thing for the economic system. So what does row 2 mean? Row 2 means faith is being restored into the main markets. Now, what could that mean? Crypto has been doing a pretty bumper job recently. We may get some flows from crypto back to the stock market. In row 3, we're looking at the major indices, the S&P 500, the Nasdaq, the Dow, and the Russell. And how have they been going just of late? Well, there's been negative price momentum on them just of late. And one of the things that you'll notice time and time again, they do tend to move in directional correlation. If they go out of whack, it's just simply a short-term thing. So just please keep that in mind. When we look at the Nasdaq is under negative price momentum. The S&P 500 as well. The Dow is under negative momentum and the Russell is starting to base. This may mean that we're going to start to see upward price momentum, especially with junk bonds starting to improve. If the main markets start to come back online, we typically get a movement in Bitcoin and the main markets. They typically move together. That is from a directional stance. As far as row 3 is concerned, it looks like we're going to see a turnaround in the main markets. What I was mentioning before, there is a directional correlation between Bitcoin and the main markets from a positional stance, which means if Bitcoin is going up, the main markets are likely to be going up as well. If the main markets are coming down, Bitcoin is likely to be coming down as well. Please bear this in mind. It's really quite important. That's why we need to look at row 3, and therefore we need to look at row 4 to see if the subcomponents of these major indices are weakening or strengthening. Row 4, this is what we want to see. Apple is starting to do well. Also Tesla, wow, fantastic. This is looking incredibly positive. Tesla is a very good predictor of where Bitcoin can go. And we can see that Nvidia Corporation has been under duress. With it being such a large cap, mega large cap, we're not surprised. This has been reflected in the indices, as well as the same thing for Microsoft. But when we look at Tesla, this could point to a really nice turnaround inside the stock market. And of course, that will just get people interested in putting their money in crypto. Turning to the crypto market, across the past few days, what have we seen? We've seen up and down pretty much choppy action. And at least you know the structural levels inside crypto total market cap. Very important to understand where those structural levels are, and more important, where they are not. When we look at Bitcoin, we know the structural levels because we just went through them. So it's going to be fascinating what unfolds here. Are we going to break out and head upwards to 96,000 or something else? Are we just going to consolidate along this range? It really depends on what row 1, row 2, and row 3 are doing. So far, we're looking at it and it seems pretty positive. Don't forget, things can take time to turn around, but it's better positive than negative for sure. And when we look at Ethereum, we can see that divergence recently. Ethereum has been suffering a bit of a hardship recently. It's not gone anywhere close to doing what it should do. And MicroStrategy has been doing really well. The conclusion on row 5 is we're starting to gather a bit of upward steam, especially inside the total crypto market cap as well as Bitcoin. But ETH is lagging at the current time. In row 3, we looked under the hood through row 4 and we used this to understand what row 3 could be doing. And then when we look at row 5, we do exactly the same thing as we did inside the stock market to determine where things could be going inside the crypto market. So far, it's looking like a turnaround inside the main markets is possible. Inside row 6, we look at Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, Binance Coin, and Ethereum Classic. Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash give us the under-the-hood view of Bitcoin. Binance Coin is about centralized exchanges, and Ethereum Classic is all about ETH. Now, what are we seeing here? Litecoin has been retracing. It's a little bit weak, and unfortunately, it's still under pressure. It hasn't changed trend. What about Bitcoin Cash? Well, that's looking a little bit better. At least it's starting to base. It's a little bit wobbly at the current time, but Bitcoin Cash gets all its power from Bitcoin. Binance Coin has gone absolutely, utterly nowhere for quite a period of time. Come on, CZ, we know you're still there. What about Ethereum Classic? Ethereum Classic has been under duress, as we saw earlier. This is also pointing to a bit of a turnaround is potentially possible, because when we look at row 1, row 2, row 3, and row 4, that's what we need to look at to understand the direction and momentum of the crypto market. Let's check out row 6. ADA Cardano has been doing really well and has actually broken out of its resistance pattern and is currently under support. ADA is a very good indicator of the market starting to turn around. This we take as a very positive sign. Even though it's retracing at the moment, these kind of retracements are really quite natural and normal. You're going to get retracements to key levels inside the chart. This is just the way it goes. What about Solana? Solana is also looking quite good. It's basing rather well. So let's keep an eye on what Bitcoin and total crypto market cap do. They're the critical ones. And Doge is just going for it. The Department of Government Efficiency is infecting Doge in a huge way. People can't figure out if Elon is actually talking about Doge or the department. I wonder why. It's getting such a nice pump. Okay, what do we see with XRP? XRP is a little weak at the current time, but it has been doing incredibly well. A lot of people who have been inside the crypto market wouldn't trade or invest in memes, but it's actually not a bad idea to trade them. They have incredible liquidity, and liquidity is what traders need to get in and out of positions. When we look at Dogecoin, Dogecoin is doing really well. It's starting to come back at the moment. But a lot of people would say, it's in price discovery, it's just going to the moon. We'll look at Doge in just a second. When we look at SHIB is weaker than Doge. You can see this is what Doge did. It got above here. SHIB didn't do the same thing. It's currently below. What about Pepe? Is Pepe paying? No, Pepe is not paying. And we can see pretty much that WIF is under some serious negative price momentum at the current time. What about Bonk? Bonk is getting close to breaking out. Good on you, Bonk. Go for it. And what do we see? with Floki. Floki is still under pressure, but it's trying to make a recovery at least to that 26,500 level. Now, let's look into Dogecoin structurally and see what could be happening right now. It's very easy for people to use recent indicative price to mark up support and resistance levels on their charts, but you really want to analyze all of price history, and you can do so through level 1 and level 2 standard certification. So where is the resistance at the moment? Recent indicative price would say it's right there, but is it right there? Well, let's check the indicator. Well, we can see it's basically at that 40-cent mark. What is happening inside Dogecoin? You can see that blue line. The blue line is Bitcoin. As Bitcoin comes down, what does it do to Doge? It pushes it to lower structural support levels. This is why it's incredibly important to know where your structural support is, because it will hit it and rebound. The same thing goes for the upside, structural resistance levels. Doge has been having a hernia with the 40-cent mark. That's why Doge has been stalling out. But it is still doing very, very well. Please keep that in mind. Structurally, the bulls need to get across this 40-cent mark in order to go higher. The bears need to drop it below 36,100 to just push the negative price momentum even down to the 34,600 level. Don't be at all concerned about upwards and downwards price action. These are ideal times to buy at, and especially as we're in a bull market, and it is a bull market even though it's climbing a wall of terror. If you go across to CTKSmethod.org, your cheat sheet to mastering price action is downloadable and it's absolutely free. And if you would like to know a little bit more about me, you can press the Inventor tab. And if you scroll down, I've left some really helpful links. And I would suggest that you look at the crypto top indicators. They are really important. They're just websites which give you charts that you can look at if the top is in or not. And hint, hint, it's not in. It's not even close. In addition to the cheat sheet, you can also get the upcoming profiting from CTKS method structure, which is worth US $699 for absolutely nothing. Just press that button on ctksmethod.org, and of course, conditions apply. With CTKS structure, we don't believe in bull markets, we don't believe in bear markets, we just believe in BORSOG markets, which is buy on red and sell on green. Basically, we just use our CTKS levels to help us to understand where the entries and the exits are. You can do very, very well. And what you will find over time, you can trade with confidence if you trust the SLs, the Stanfield levels. And just a quick reminder, if you're available in Sydney from the 23rd to the 24th of November, and it's coming up pretty fast, we can meet up at the Australian Crypto Convention. Have a great day or night ahead, my friends, and Kate and I look forward to catching up with you again in the next video. Bye for now.